Okay. The next step is going to be put on the oil joint tube and the oil reservoir. This is the oil joint tube. This will be the O-ring that goes in here. The oil joint tube is attached by two bolts that go into blind holes. You notice the bolts that go to the reservoir or the oil joint tube are slightly tapered. I put just a little bit of high temp grease on the O-ring merely to hold it in place while I assemble it. Again, 6mm bolts be torqued to 10 Newton meters. The next step will be to put the oil reservoir on it. Oil reservoir O-ring gets the same thing, just a little bit of grease to hold it in place so it doesn't fall before I can get the bolts in place. This is the oil reservoir. Before you put the oil reservoir on, look very carefully at the bottom of the oil reservoir. If there were a crack running through here, that's an indication that somebody over-tightened the drain plug. This one's not cracked. That's a good thing. Wiping out a little bit of dust that looked like it was in there. The cleaner you can put these engines together, the better off you are. No matter how clean it is when you put it together, it's really a good idea to do an oil change shortly after firing it up. Start it up, run it for about 10 to 15 minutes. And do an oil change immediately. That way, just if there is a little bit of dirt that you did not get out, you've got a decent chance that changing the oil will get that portion of it out. Particularly because oil is so inexpensive compared to the price of an engine repair. Just checking to make sure that my O-ring is not shifted. Once again, 6mm bolts torqued to 10 Newton meters. Next step will be to install the balancer shaft, which also runs the governor. If you look on the crankshaft, you'll see a small dot on the drive gear. Here's a crankshaft I've got out of the next one that's going together. You see that little dot lines up with the bottom of a groove. So you'll rotate the crankshaft to top dead center. You should see that little dot. This is the harmonic balancer. As you'll notice, both pistons come to top dead center at the same time. So without this, the motor would vibrate quite a bit, even though it does have a large counterweight on the crank. This is the governor. You'll notice two shiny marks on the back of the governor. If these are worn into a groove where the governor arms ride against it, the engine will not increase throttle correctly. And a good sign that that's what's occurring is if the generator does not follow the load, and when you watch the governor arm on it, it'll actually be vibrating so fast that it'll look blurry to you when you watch it. And if that's the case, it's trying to increase throttle. However, it can't. And now you see the dot on the crank gear, the dot on the governor gear are aligned. If they're not lined up properly, it will shake even worse. We're going to put a new bearing in this end carrier as well. This is the carrier for the governor arm. And you can go ahead and end the film here because there's nothing exciting about pressing in a bearing.